NERDSoul.
Lay ill kid at OneYoungsta holding it down, bring that street geek and nerd soul. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell. Let's go because it's time to talk evil, y'all. Man, look, we're essentially at the penultimate episode because we do get 4 episodes after the next episode, but they're supposed to be like slightly separated. I think by they're taking a week off, and then we're gonna get like a mini 5th episode. So this is kind of the penultimate episode of this season, and it's getting real. So I had to bring in, as always, all right, the man who is in the Wizard's Tower. I give to you, of course, the cinematic sorcerer, Solar Gray. What's up?
Hello, everyone. This is Solar Gray, the Cinematic Sorcerer, coming at you from the Wizard's Tower. And, bruh, all right, so you know how I am about my role-playing games, right?
Yeah.
This episode was indicative of the way a game is supposed to be played.
Ooh.
Seriously. I'm just like, all right, I'm definitely with this in the sense of you got 6 players and then the party gets split up. And so you got half of the players over here doing one thing and the other half doing another thing.
And it, like I said, about 2 episodes ago when they started seeming like they were really starting to pay things off, and I said, hey, if y'all continue to pay off the people that have been watching the show for the last 4, well, maybe more years since there was a strike and everything, but you know, if you keep paying people off for on the stories we've been watching for a long time, then I'd be happy. And I think they've been doing that.
I think they got your letter. I think they got your letter. They might be watching the podcast.
Yeah. See, hey, they're here. They look. They know who NERDSoul is, but so I guess okay. There's 2 main stories on this episode. Do you want to talk about the case first, or do you want to talk about Sheryl first?
So here's the real question: does our audience want to talk about some real or some magic real? That's the question.
Yeah, because this episode does not quit, and it's good all over.
See, if they're gonna talk the real, we're gonna talk about the case. If they want to talk about the real magic and the quick thinking, then we talk about the other case.
You know what? All right, let's do Sheryl first.
Okay.
Let's go and talk about Sheryl first. You know what? I'll throw it to you first on thoughts of Sheryl, about this episode. You know, when it comes to Sheryl, all the way, I guess, from her going to the confessional, all the way, you know, to the end, I guess.
So I know last week we were talking about how much we don't like Sheryl, and I meant to say it, but I guess I didn't say it because I was waiting for this episode. We ain't gotta like Sheryl, but we best respect her.
Man, Sheryl came through in this episode. It's weird because I was watching this with Lady Lisa. Oh, also Lady Lisa had me make sure to say some things for her in this episode, but we were watching this. I was like, you know what? The enemy of my enemy might just work out every now and then. It might just work out. It's like I can't stand this girl, but she came through. Okay, I'll throw. All right, guys. Matter of fact, well, you know this is a religious show, so religion's gonna be in there. We're gonna be talking about spirituality and stuff. So we're just gonna have to talk about it. So Sheryl opens up, she comes to the confessional, and it's I guess like the overnight shift, and David up there asleep. He like, man, I'm tired. So anyway, she comes in here, and of course, first off, she already has her disclaimer up there. I'm not confessing. This is just a conversation or something like that. And Cheryl, I don't know it. See, you must have been around the wrong people. But prayer is just a conversation with the Lord. See, you try, don't try to dip and dodge around. Don't worry about it. Don't try to dip and dodge. Cast your cares upon him is what he says. But anyway, you know what I'm saying?
See, you coming at it like a Baptist, bro. But this ain't a Baptist show.
I forgot this ain't a Baptist show.
So
I apologize. Guys, I'm a Baptist.
Show.
I'm a Baptist. It's a Catholic. But it's funny because when he opens the thing, he's like, Cheryl?
Like, what you doing here?
It's, you know how you see someone somewhere, you're like, I know. Huh?
Like, yeah, okay, so why are you actually here? Because I know it ain't for confession.
He even said, he's like, why don't, well, you know, if this, go to the authorities. She's straight up like the 60, they got friends, they got the cops in their pocket, they got friends in the police, they're like, I can't go there. So he's like, you should really tell Kristen this. Like, you know, like, because even though you and Kristen have a beef, I know Kristen knows the girls love you, and I'm sure she doesn't want someone to murder you. So it, you know, shouts out to David for being a friend, even though he's like, you've kind of been our enemy for a minute, but at the same time, like, you know, this is a serious thing, and if you're this serious to come here, then maybe you should tell Kristen. Also, I don't want to be the person that knew. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be the person that knew. I mean, am I wrong?
You're not incorrect. You are not incorrect on this. However, it's good to see that there was always a member of the team that has a little bit of common sense.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't believe in common sense. Not to say that it goes against my religion, but I find that out here in California, common practices and common knowledge change every 30 miles.
Oh.
So I don't believe in what everybody knows. Not everybody knows.
You're being generous on those 30 miles.
Well, it's undeniable at 30 miles.
Yeah.
Okay. And if y'all look at a map, y'all see it's about 30 miles between South Central and Long Beach. It's about 30 miles between Long Beach and Riverside. It's about 30 miles from downtown LA to Valencia. Yeah. It's about 30 miles from Long Beach to West LA. They're like different planets. So, having lived in all of them, I have earned my privilege to say so. But there is David seriously going, all right, so before you come here, I know you ain't down for here, so let me just throw some suggestions at you to make sure that this is really your last resort. Like, did you go to the police? You know, they own the cops. Well, you know, you should also talk to your daughter about this. Yeah, she wouldn't believe anything because she don't trust me. All right, you know what?
And sort of rightfully so.
He's like, all right, yeah, there is that. All right. All right. So, but she's like, I ain't confess. And here's the thing about confession. All right. And this is why I say that you're looking at it from a Baptist point of view. Okay. Confession isn't just about confessing your sins to the Lord to get the forgiveness. It's about recognizing that you need forgiveness and kind of apologizing.
Oh yeah, Cheryl
I did
like,
this.
I don't need. I do what I want.
Yeah, it's I did this. I feel bad about it, and I feel bad that I hurt you, God. So can you please forgive me? And that ain't Cheryl.
Cheryl, it's funny because Cheryl, and guys, remember, I do keep having to remember, even though we're talking about God, this is a Catholic, and I'm a Baptist. So in this, it's funny because she says, she's, you know, saying like, you have no power, you know, you guys are a joke kind of thing. That's, you know, but yet here you are. Yet here you are crying the realest cry, maybe the only cry we've seen the whole show from you. I don't think we've seen Cheryl cry outside of this episode, maybe once.
Well, see, the thing is, she's saying that she doesn't have power. What she's or that the
Well, no,
church don't have
she's saying that
power,
God doesn't
and
have power, and I'm like, but you here asking for our assistance.
well, see, that's the thing. It shows that she doesn't recognize, or more to the point, she only recognizes one flavor of power. Okay. So some real talk. This is something that I talk about on my channel a lot. A lot of people look at, and I'm not going to get into the gender war stuff. This is just the psychological classification. All right. But there is masculine power, feminine power, or hard power and soft power. Now, the difference between the two is hard power. The stuff that most people think of when they think about power, the way that we practice it in a patriarchal society, is about power over things. The ability to exert undeniable and unfightable force. Okay. So the power of violence, the power of dominance, that kind of thing. All right. But then there's soft power. And soft power is the kind of power your grandma got over you.
That kind of power that if they'll be honest with you, the kind of power that's used that makes a lot of these young girls, ladies, women hate their mothers for some reason or another. I've seen it.
I don't want to use that as an
some
example.
Some of them won't, but
it's the soft power of you don't do anything to hurt your grandmama because you don't want to hurt your grandmama.
Yeah, no,
like
I'm talking about
feel bad for doing it.
I'm talking about that mommy dearest type stuff. Like,
oh no, that's hard power.
You're never pretty enough. She's never really beating you, spanking you, pushing you, but
no, but
you're not pretty enough, or maybe you're too light skinned, or you're too dark skinned, or your hair isn't this enough. You're a little too short, or you're a little too tall, or your ears are a little this. There's always these small nips and picks at your emotion and your psyche throughout your life. And then you're a 45-year-old woman that kind of hates her mom. And the funny thing is, I've seen this across races.
Oh yeah, like, no, it's a real thing, but that's still hard power.
You would consider that? I wouldn't consider it.
Yeah,
okay.
Because the words are still there to tear down. Okay. But soft power is power with power in community. Like the church didn't have to do nothing to Sheryl at all to convince her to go into the church. That's like exactly what you said. Yeah, you're saying all this bad stuff about the church, yet you're here. Yet Leland fears the church.
Mm-hmm. And I was like, if Leland fear it, girl, what you think? Now, let me, before I forget, Lisa told me to add this in. You go off on this thing about, I hate the church, it molests the boys, it's patriarchal, and she made sure to yell on the patriarchy part, right?
Yeah.
And honestly, on the real, patriarchy just means that there's generally men in charge. Matriarchy just means that there's generally women in charge. Neither one is objectively good or bad on the face of it. But just throw that away, table that for now. We're not worrying about gender wars at this point. Just because someone says patriarchy, just the existence of a mere patriarchy doesn't make it bad, or matriarchy doesn't make it bad or good, vice versa. But Lisa told me to ask Sheryl this. Did the patriarchy make you kidnap Andy? Was that the patriarchy too, or that won't the patriarchy? Because come on, girl. I'm not saying that the church and what you've seen examples from in the church is right, just and good. But I don't think you get to jump up and down like the patriarchy did this, when it's like, well, what about your actions? Was your actions spurned by the patriarchy? And if you hate the patriarchy so much, when we looked at the corporation that you work in, the Evil Inc., I'll just name them, is that a matriarchal? Oh, that's patriarchy too. So patriarchy is okay here, but it's not okay there. What you want? Lisa just told me to ask you to make your mind up on when patriarchy is good and bad, and whether patriarchy made you do everything you've been doing since the beginning of this show. I didn't know if patriarchy had a gun in your head telling you to kidnap Andy and then hypnotize him and then put him, drain his blood or whatever y'all doing in that. But I'll digress, Cheryl. I'll let you answer that later.
All right, so I actually got a couple of answers to that, and they're gonna sound a little weird. All right, but number one, there's nothing in Sheryl that says that the patriarchy is okay when she's using it. It's very much one of those when people go off about capitalism and they're like, oh, but you still live in a capitalistic system. Yeah, it's the only game in town. You know, she definitely hates that corporation. And she hates the game that she's part of. You know, now, is it okay? No. Is she a hypocrite? Absolutely. She's still a hypocrite. But
her hypocrisy works out for us in this one, so we kind of give you a general positive here.
No, this is like if I were an admiral in Starfleet. All right, you saved the world on this one, but don't do it again.
Like don't
unless
ever
you
do
save
it
the
again.
world.
But this situation with her is interesting because it's all of this coming down and you see her crying, and I'm like, it's crashing down around you, Cheryl, because you know you've been wrong this whole time. How do you know you're wrong, Cheryl? Think about it. How do you know you're wrong? How do you know you're wrong? I know people be like, morals is old school. Morals is, don't nobody care about integrity. That's old. You just old, NERDSoul. What is it? How do you know that you're inherently wrong? How do you know this is wrong, Cheryl? Why are you crying, Cheryl? Because if you down with Leland and them, you should be good, right? Why are you crying? Why are you here at the altar crying, Cheryl? Because you know you was wrong. You know you have turned your face from God. It's okay. He forgives. You just got to come back, girl. And you came back. I like the fact that you sort of came back. All right. We'll work on
she did. She actually came back.
You didn't do a full. You did, but you're here.
All right, I will tell you when she came back. I will tell you exactly when she came back. During the baptism.
You know what? Yes, you're right. And this is another thing in here. You see, she's immediately like, he has to be baptized. He got to be baptized. And he's like, when? What? But why do you want so you baptize? David's like, yeah, I can do it. He's like, just because he's like, you've dropped a couple bombs on me. One, someone's trying to kill you. And also two, now you want the child to be baptized, which I mean I can do, but I don't know where to take this.
Yeah. And of course the joke of that scene was hilarious. It's like, okay, now I did nutrition. Damn. You know,
it's like just give me the baptism. It's like, okay. I can do. And the way that follows through this whole episode is awesome. And then also because Cheryl, I think Cheryl also understands another thing of her reason for coming to David, even though she accuses the church of all the things she's done. And don't get me wrong. Now, I mean, of course, I'm a Baptist, so there's things that people do not like, whether you're Baptist or you go to a synagogue or whatever it is. There's things that you don't like about the church. But I can't say about everything because I have not read everything, so I do not know everything. But I'm pretty sure there are examples where your God is saying that people are not your God. Now, it's their job to do their best to guide you to me, but they are not God. Their systems are not God. Those things. So when you've made them your God, you try to blame me for things they've done.
All right. So on
And I
that,
think that's why, because I think she sees, okay, David, and she even does say, like, David, to a certain degree, like, you're like, I trust you.
yeah,
But David, it's like, yeah, but David works here. So
yeah.
maybe it's not the existence of this thing. Maybe it's people that do need to be dealt with. Don't get me wrong, and they should have been dealt with, whether you're at a synagogue or church or
Okay.
cathedral,
So
whatever. But she sees in David. So do you think David is the only person that's worth anything in the Catholic Church? Of course
in
not.
her in
He's
her
not
eyes,
an anomaly.
yeah. Um, in her eyes, yeah, he is, because she has no faith. Okay, and
Okay.
I understand the reason that she has no faith, because I get everything you're saying, every single thing that you're saying. I understand it. Now let me throw something at you. Okay.
Mhm.
Replace everything that you just said about the church. Everything that you just said about the church. All right. Take everything you just said and now replace church with police.
Oh yeah. The only difference is there's you're talking about faith in you're still talking about faith in man instead of faith in God. The,
Yeah,
at least
I
from
get you.
my perspective.
No,
Now,
I definitely get you on that.
I do
think
also
about that
know that
from
there
the-
are cops that are good.
Well, yeah, but think about that from the perspective of a non-believer. Okay.
Okay,
If a
so
person is
what
already
you're going to say is on his face, all of this is just people.
no, what I'm saying is to a non-believer, there is a difference between there is no difference between the idea of an organization and the people that are a part of it until
Okay.
you individualize things.
Because
So,
in this case, I'd say
because
if you would have asked me, I'd say I know that there are cops that go to work and they they do
oh yeah,
cop stuff and they don't hurt nobody. But
and
I
I will
also
even
know
go as
that
far as
those
to say that there are cops out there that are trying to stop the bad ones and they're losing the fight.
yeah,
However,
because there are numerous accounts of that.
yeah,
But then you'd have to go to the larger organization that employs the cops and then talk about how they, in my opinion, I think there is a vested interest in keeping cops like that around.
oh, absolutely.
And
As long
that's
as we have
why,
for-profit prisons, there are. But this is not a political show,
yes,
or else we'd be talking
even though
about something else.
everything's political and all politics is local, but that's
Yeah,
a whole nother show. We don't
but see,
we can't do this show for hours, y'all.
yeah, but I'm just pointing that out. Like, I get where Cheryl is coming from.
Mhm.
It's again, she is mal-religious. Okay. Now, you make it very clear you are a Baptist, you're a believer. I make it very clear I am not. I'm something
Mhm.
else. However, I can separate the deity and the idea away from the practitioners of the thing. Again, I too am
Shoot.
anti-church.
Shoot,
Okay,
let's
I'm
be
not.
honest. You got to. Look, I'm gonna be honest.
You know,
I'm gonna be for real. I love the Lord, but the reason that you need to find yourself a good church is because there's a lot of people out there lying. There's a lot of people that are what I think what Christ says, lukewarm.
okay.
You either on fire or you not. There ain't gonna be no lukewarm. He even says it. So there's a lot of bendy morals out there. And those people that run those churches, and I mean I wouldn't even consider them churches, but they're churches in the in the example that we have.
We can
But,
say those
yeah,
buildings.
those people represent a larger, or at least is seen as a larger church body, and it does upset me. But once again, like David, I can't stop that. And sadly, to our detriment, even if we're going to at least talk from my side, Paul says it's on us to judge them and rebuke them. And we don't, because, everybody wants to stay everybody's friend, but that's a whole nother,
Yeah,
that's
that's a different kind of politics.
there's a whole different type. But yeah, so I see where she's coming from. And that's why I said, I think she sees that in David. It's just getting her to be like, okay, you know I'm not alone, right? Like,
Uh-huh.
yes, this is a big, huge thing that I can't personally stop, but you know I am not alone. I'm like David is not. I'm like David's like I'm not I mean, I am special, but I'm not special in that way. You know, then there's other people that are here doing good work, and they care about people and love people, and they're doing, what they're supposed to do. Unlike the Vatican CIA, but that's a whole other.
Yeah. Although I will have to say, I did actually like the Vatican CIA twist in this episode.
Yeah, there was one. You know what? So I'll hurry up on Cheryl then. All right,
Yeah.
so Cheryl, she got everything laid out. I'm gonna bring the kid to you on Thursday. Everything gonna be fine, and we're gonna quick get this get this baptism real quick. Everything's gonna
Quick,
be all
fast,
good.
in a hurry. Don't worry,
Man.
Cheryl vision ain't blurry. Yeah.
Man, do you think that the enemy just gonna be like, all right? Like, oh, you wanna baptize this child that I have laid out off me? Oh, okay, no problem. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, no, you do your thing. You do your thing. Nope. Storm.
Yo, the funny thing is, she meaning Sister Andrea, because Sister Andrea is in there just praying, getting to pray on, and she sees Cheryl. She's like, "Oh yeah, I know you." And then when she sees that baby, she was like, "Oh yeah, let's
come
go."
on in. Like, all right, yeah, yeah. And again, this is that role playing part. This is that part of the story that I really love, because once again, Sister Andrea saved the world, and
Man, sure
that
did.
was subtle and small. Well, it was a big thing, but yeah, it came down to Ignatius and Andrea literally saving the world, and I was all there 100%. But the part that got me, okay, was when Cheryl came up with the idea of the baptism. I literally had, since we watched this on streaming, I had to pause. I literally had to pause and give that moment a slow clap, because that was glorious.
Definitely.
I'm like, they got the Antichrist and they're gonna baptize him. Oh, well played. That would have killed the Omen franchise. Just straight up like, oh no, God even forgives the Antichrist. There you go.
Because because he hates the sin, not the sinner. So he casts all that sin away, and then you got a fresh baby just laying there chilling.
Yeah, being cute as all get out.
Timothy was kicking it after that.
All the crying stopped. I'm just like, you know what? Well done. Very well played.
Man,
very well
Cheryl
played.
With those pictures. Oh my God.
And and see, that is an example of doing good with evil intentions. Okay.
Man,
because she wasn't trying to save the world. She wasn't even trying to save the baby. She was trying to hurt Leland.
Yeah, it was all about hurting Leland.
And
because I mean, think about it. She might not even know if this will work. She just wants to hurt Leland.
And you know how I am. I've said this 100 times on the show. I don't care how you got to the party. Have some punch.
And the party, the party was wild, especially with Father Ignatius. Not really. No, you know how you get brought in on something. You're like, I mean, yeah, we can do this. I guess. What's going on? Who's kidding?
And it's like, oh, the pipes are all messed up. We don't have no holy water. Hang on.
It's funny because Cheryl was like, oh, come on. Like when the pipes were frozen. It's like, how are the pipes frozen? It's not, you know what? Fine. And Father Ignatius is in the middle of all this, has no idea.
And sure enough, Andrea's like, oh, you gonna cast a storm? I'm gonna use some rainwater, which is a special Andrea flavored insult to injury.
Man.
Because it really was. We used the water that you called to baptize the Antichrist that you plotted about. Thanks for the help.
Man, look, you can't beat how perfect this scene comes together. Like it, especially for people that have been watching this show, since season one. This is an awesome payoff. And then, of course, when we see the child again, when we see the child through Sister Andrea's eyes, we're like, oh snap, it worked. And like the baby's happy. We don't see it, we don't hear any whining anymore. I'm like, see. The funny thing is, immediately Cheryl's like, let me take a picture.
It's like, can I get that baptism certificate?
She's like, I need it right now. And I'm pretty sure she put like a kiss on that. Like,
she did.
I'm like, yo, you cannot beat. You just can't beat this. Like,
and I'm like,
it works out. It's when like, it's when like Vandal Savage, gets, Lex Luthor back for something. It's like, you don't like neither of them, but right now Lex could use a little get back. So it's like, so you let it ride.
Hey, guess what? Hell still hath no fury. Because it threw a storm, and that storm did not get through that woman's scorn.
Not at all. And I mean, seeing Leland see those papers, and now, because I was talking with Lady Lisa, I can't even imagine what the punishment is going to be, because he had in the Evil Inc.'s defense, you had one job.
Yeah,
just one job. Just keep the baby ready. Keep the baby ready, and apparently unbaptized. Oh, keep the baby ready. That's all you had to do. So I'm very interested to see how next episode plays out, because that baby, look, they were all cutting their hands and stuff, and that baby's just like, hey,
hey, you're cutting your hand. That looks interesting.
Like,
I think I'm a fart now. Ooh, yeah, I'm a baby.
It's like, interesting. Like,
the thing that
they
got
look
me,
down
though,
at that baby and they see that baby is just a baby, I don't think they're gonna be happy.
Now, see, that was the thing that actually got me. The one thing, because everything always got to have that one thing, and I hate that it has to have that one thing. But here's that one thing: the boss didn't notice.
Oh, did the boss already look at the baby?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, and yeah, because he looked down and was like, "This
notice
is our."
that baby's been
because he said something like, "This is our triumph" or something like that.
Yeah, and I'm like, you're not noticing that baby's been baptized?
Like, that baby
you're
doesn't
a demon.
look the same.
You should be able to smell that.
Yeah,
you should be able to go like, all right, Leland, what did you do? Now, if the next episode opens up with the "you had one job" conversation, I'll be good.
Yeah, like if it opens up with like, something's wrong with this baby. What did you do to this baby? Like, something like that.
If it opens up, or if the first shot that we see with Leland is him getting chewed out by the boss going, so, that ritual, I think it went all right. What do you think, Leland? How's it going? Because, see,
he's like, oh, yeah, it was good.
Yeah, because, I mean, it really would have been a lot better had that baby not been baptized. Oh, well, you noticed that.
that's when you have to play the dumb game, and I hate to say it, sometimes you got to play the dumb game. So it'd be a lot better if that baby wasn't baptized. Baptized? Who's baptized? That baby.
Well, whatever do you mean?
It's like, that baby. What baby? The baby right here. This baby right here.
Baby what? Baby what? Baptized?
This baby.
Who would baptize this baby?
This baby right here was baptized. When? Right, look, you don't have any other choice but to, man, Leland's face, and like Timothy is just like giggling and laughing, just the happiest baby, and Leland just hangs his head, and that's where we end kind of on that scene. He's like, "Welcome to the new age," and Leland is looking down, and they do reveal this, I guess, this possible painting or whatever, and it does have a red sheen on it, and I wonder if it's the red that that Diamondback, aka the High Evolutionary, is talking about.
Yeah, because the High Evolutionary made it very clear it's something to do with 3 items like this. And I'm like, okay. Now, I hope it's 3 items like that, because how did the High Evolutionary get those things that were in the same room later on in the show? Is he working with the 60? What's going on with that?
Yeah,
I don't know.
How is he doing that? But I guess in this case, now we can get to the sort of accidental case. You know, we High Evolutionary pulls Luke Cage into the room like, look, man, it's time to get your remote viewing on. And he's like, it never works when I use this room. But we, instead of seeing, I guess, the scene that that we want, of course, David to see from the baby evil christening or whatever, like he starts to see this birthday of this other man named Tyler, which I think is extremely awesome. But you are right. How is the Vatican CIA always getting these items? Like, how are you getting these things? Like, maybe they have double agents?
It wouldn't shock me. It really wouldn't shock me. Because that kind of thing is actually necessary when it comes to, let's call it the game.
Yeah,
call it the game.
Counterintelligence, I guess,
Yeah.
on a spiritual scale. But they have these items. When they first put it, I was like, one of those kind of cheap croissants or whatever you get from like Ralph's, like those, what, and a sword. I was like, or a short sword, big dagger, whatever you want.
Big dagger and a cigar cutter.
I was like, what? I don't know.
And it was like, yeah, exactly. Those cheap croissants you get at Ralph's, the dagger, the cutter. I'm like, oh, party food with rich people that smoke cigars. And they're okay. All right. Now, it's interesting because they introduced a subtle concept in the last episode that they're really leaning into on this. Well, they introduced it, I think, in season 2, but they're really following up on it in this episode, which is spillover. Okay? Because we get the case of Tyler. And Tyler, bro, I ain't gonna lie, all right? I'm a grown man. I'm a grown man, which means I'm in touch with my feelings. This has nothing to do with how long I've been on this earth. All right? But I have gathered the wisdom to not put up fronts. Feel me?
Mm-hmm.
I cried.
Yeah, it was tough for a second
at that one. And this is the first time that this show has made me cry. And I'm like, great. 2 weeks ago it was The Boys. Now it's this. Still can't watch Miracle on 34th Street anymore. Or no, sorry, It's a Wonderful Life. Can't do it. Can't do it anymore. But with this episode, we get Tyler having his birthday, and I knew that there was something a little bit off because of the way his wife asked the question. Do you like it? Yes, I like it. Are you happy?
Yeah, she said, are you happy?
I'm like, why would she ask that question? What is it that I am meant to see? And then sure enough, we see it. And major shouts out to Michael Coulter because every show that he's in, there's this underlying thing with how do black men contend with their emotions. Luke Cage season 2 was all about where or how can it be safe for a black man to be angry? Like, what do we do with that anger when we feel it? Now, this one, it is how do we contend? How does a black man in the world, not just a man, but specifically a black dude, how does a black man process grief in this world? Because he's got the 2 daughters and stuff, but he lost his son. And when he talked to David, he made it very clear, I've always had these feelings. And then when my son died, I'm like, ow. Ow. It's like it was always there. But then an exciting incident happened. You feel me?
Very. The sadness of him, him meaning Tyler, sitting at the desk, and you could see the sort of wheels turning.
Yeah.
Him pulling out the gun, putting it back, pulling it out, and then you have you have David there, and David is now doing his best to use his power as a father, as someone who's able to remote view, someone who's able to kind of sort of speak to people and saying, please God. And one thing that I do like is that we have another reason why Sheryl chose David is David isn't trying to insert himself. David is saying, God, please use me, give me the tools I need to be able to help this man.
Oh, he is
don't make it about me. Don't make it about my glory, my fame, my status, my clout, whatever. Make it about you and the message you want me to bring to this man. And I think that's awesome right here. And you see David kind of breaking down as Tyler's breaking down, but for two different reasons. He's breaking down because it's like, I don't want you to make this choice because I know you love this family. There's just something going on that has affected you so seriously. And the times when Tyler is affected, he hears something, he turns around, and then even them trying to figure out who this person is something that I think is important in David's journey as a remote viewer person, because there's two big things that I picked up. He went to Sister Andrea, and she was like, is this your CIA friends or whatever? And she was like, get out, just get out. She was like, this isn't for parlor tricks, blah, blah, blah. And he stops her and he's like, hey, look,
like, whoa, who are you talking to?
You need to have more respect for me. I'm trying to save a man's life. And then that's when she's like, you know what? Okay. Because I'm pretty sure Sister Andrea has probably come across those that work with the Vatican CIA. And, it's kind of like the last, I guess you could say, handler that he had, where he was like, look, I don't really believe, but I know these are still bad people and they got to go, which he's not particularly wrong about that. Like if they're bad, they still gotta go. But it'd be nice if you believe because you work here. But I mean, you're not working at like Amazon. You don't have to believe in Amazon. But sort of working at the church or at a church, a synagogue, it's gotta be nice if you did. But seems like it's part of the job.
But when she was like, God gave you a gift and you use it for parlor tricks, and he's like, hold up, whoa, you need to take 20% off that. I am trying to save a man's life and save a man's family. And she was like, all right, cool. So this is the thing you needed. And yes, I have had this the whole time.
Like, you need the heavenly chord. And
just play the heavenly chord. You're good.
Also, when he brings the matter to the high evolutionary, and he's like, I don't care about that. We're trying to stop evil from coming to New York. I don't care about that. And I'm not against his, meaning the high evolutionary's thought process. But I think in that, and I mean, of course, they deal with, big things, big threats. They deal with demon boxes and stuff. They deal with large threats. But I think in that, they forget that as the shepherd, God said, I will leave the flock that's already doing well, to save one of you and bring you back into the fold. And see, he's forgetting that this small little one case, it does seem like kind of like a small thing compared to the evil coming to New York. But he has to also remember that if we have the ability, we don't let that flock get separated. We go and save that one to bring it back into the fold. this one little case that nobody really cares about, and in terms of like the Antichrist, which, don't get me wrong, I do get. It seemed like you maybe put the second string on that, but still, we don't let them go, especially if we know that we can help them. And I think that's something that, well, maybe something that the High Evolutionary learned or will learn from this particular scene, or it might not be remarked upon again, but that's what I saw kind of David's reasoning when he was talking to him, like, hey, yeah, I get it, but this man is going to kill himself, his wife, and 2 children. I can't just not do anything.
Right. And in real talk, that is why Grace liked David so much.
Shout, man, you know what? Shouts to Grace. I mean, I know Grace. I know this show is kind of over if we have Sister Andrea, Grace, and David in the same room. I get it, but dag, it'd be sweet.
Hey, you know what?
It's like,
we got a finale coming. We got a finale coming.
They're
Let's
all
go.
in the same room. So, guys, there's 2 episodes left to the show. Like, it's like they've solved it. Like those 3 plus the resources of the Vatican CIA. Like the show's kind of over now. But
and then Andy comes in with a chair.
Oh man.
Just saying. So yeah, I mean that part that was big, but the subtext, okay, the part that the viewers are smart enough to get is the spillover that we were talking about. Because the dude wasn't just connected to what the CIA or the Vatican CIA, the CIA, was talking about. He was literally
downstairs
under it.
Yeah, he was just below it. And it kind of lends to the idea. Tell me what you think about this, because I was wondering about this. It kind of lends to that idea of when they were talking about the infestation at Kristen's neighbors.
That's exactly what I was talking about with the spillover, bruh.
Yeah, that stuff has to affect you.
Yes.
The thing is, you think that you're having problems. It's like, no, you're not having problems. It's the spirits, the powers, and principalities you have no idea about upstairs.
Well, the thing is, you are having problems.
Well, yeah.
But those principalities are magnifying that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, that spillover, that infestation thing. Because remember last week's episode, that whole thing about the ghosts and the demons being on the train tracks above Kristen's house. It was the demon was coming out of the house and messing with the train track. And the demons were coming out of the house and messing with the neighbors who work for Amazon. And the demons were coming out of the house. You see where I'm getting?
Yep.
They get in somewhere and then they spread.
Like roaches, man. You see one of them.
And that right there is huge. That part right there, where it really does come down to, he is going through some stuff, and you can see that Tyler is a good man.
Yeah,
he's a good man. He's a good dude. He's just broken.
Yeah.
And those powers. And the thing I'm also really liking is this show is showing, and not even remotely telling, that when you take care of the problem at the source, the rest of it starts to go away. And that's something I think we really need to think about, especially in our society right now. We're so busy handling the symptoms. All we can think about are the symptoms. How does this affect me in the way that I'm willing to think about it right now? You feel me? Instead of addressing that core issue. Where is that cockroach nest?
Yeah, we deal with the symptoms because we are inundated with an atmosphere that argues that the symptoms are more important than the source, because the larger atmosphere doesn't really want to remove the source. So now we have a situation where we're running around trying to convince people what the source is, and they're telling us that the symptoms are the source, and we're like, no, it's not. But it's hard to battle against, a machine that keeps you focused on shiny ball syndrome. It's like, oh, let's do this. Oh, let's stop that. Ooh, it's like, no. This is the problem. Now, unfortunately, if we're talking about American society, we kind of all know what the problem is, but there's so many benefits from that source that a lot of people want that source to stay there, even if it kind of stings them every now and then. But you'll be sitting there, you'll be like, hey man, this bone is broken, so we got to do this. They're like, oh no, don't worry about the bone, worry about the pants and the belt. And it's like, what? No, the bone is broken. We got to go to the bone. Oh, no. Didn't you see his shoes, though? The shoes need to be, we got to relace them. It's like, no. The bone is broken right here. Do you see this bone? They're like, yeah, the bone is kind of bad. But if you see how bad the shirt is, and you're like, we've been arguing for an hour, and I know the answer. And now either A, I'm jaded and I don't care. I'm just like, look, y'all do whatever y'all want. I don't care anymore. Or they just completely shut down. And I guess the last few people are actually like, well, if I fix all of these things, it'll force them to go to the bone. It's like, no, it won't. No, it won't, because you'll fix the shoes, and by the time you get to the belt, someone will come back and mess the shoes up again. Because they know that you're going to have to go back to the shoes.
No, because at that point, it stopped being about the injury, and it became about being right.
Yeah.
And that's just the whole thing. And that is where most folks are living. But this show straight up said, yeah, no, I get it. I get where you're coming from on all that stuff. And we're trying to deal with the bone. And that is where we get back into the Vatican CIA. Because the Vatican CIA is stuck with the real hard decision of trying to take care of the bone.
Yeah. And on top of the VCIA, thank you for giving me that. We also have another awesome part of this kind of investigation, which includes Dr. Boggs. Shouts out to Dr. B. You know what? He done turned his life around. He got that snitch up out of his office. Fire her. All right, she gone. And he helped Kristen without violating his attorney, not attorney, but yeah. I was about to say attorney-client privilege. You know what I mean, though. He can't say that. All right.
No, his therapeutic, his therapeutic obligation to confidence.
Yeah, like you know what I mean. He just ain't supposed to talk. So he was like, Kristen, I need you to get here right now. What was it? I can't say nothing.
He didn't say that. He's like, I have a patient in my office for the next 30 minutes. I can't talk.
Yeah, because when she picks up the phone, he's like, I need you to come here. And then he's like, she's here for another half hour. There's nothing else. No, I'm sitting with the patient that will be here for another half hour. There's like nothing else I can say.
Tyler? No.
No, I don't know anything about Tyler.
I cannot tell you.
I cannot tell you. All I can say is that you need to be here
in the next half an hour.
Oh man. So he came through.
Like, you know why? Sheryl.
Yeah.
Sheryl straight did that. Because who else would have said, oh, by the way, your secretary is leaking information?
Yo, I'm telling you, when Cheryl's scorched earth plan has worked out for us. Now, it's still self-serving, but man, it works out. It's working out for us like gangbusters right now.
I said, hell hath no fury.
Cause I'm like, dang. I'm like, she done snitched on the informant and everything. Then she deleted all the files. I was like, man, look, Sheryl ain't playing.
Then she put Leland on a no contact list. And then it's funny because you got Timothy just so happy and chilling now, blowing raspberries and stuff.
But back to David's side, him when he they get to the home, and they're making up this wild story. And I guess you gotta kind of make up a wild story, because saying that you are assessors, I don't know if she let you in. So I mean, I guess this is a okay lie, because you lied in service to the Lord to stop a man from killing himself and his family. So I guess I'll let it slide.
In Catholic,
but you ain't supposed to be lying, y'all.
In Catholic doctrine, there are two types of sins. There are mortal sins, such as murder, molestation, unaliving, that kind of thing. And there are venial sins. Now, confession is to get past those venial sins. That's what acts of contrition are for.
Okay.
Because they know people ain't perfect. Mistakes shall be made.
Yeah.
Some decisions are hard. Okay. So they committed a venial sin to prevent a mortal sin. They are still going to have to answer for the venial sin.
Well, David will. I don't think Kristen cares, but
still, according to the rules, they're still going to have to answer.
Yeah.
And Kristen will face her answer in the next episode because of how the previous episode ended. And yeah, I wanted to touch on that while we had a little time.
Yeah.
Because now we finally know why the kid has a tail.
Oh, I did not even think about that.
I'm like, oh, okay, supposed to be John the Baptist. All right.
I did not even think about that with Lexus. I did not even think about Lexus in that way.
Yeah, because I'm sitting up and I'm like, okay, now we have the now we've got the foundation for Lynn and Lexus. You know, now we've got the Anna and Ilsa situation up that I wanted.
I mean, shoot, that situation might resolve itself depending on how Lynn goes. It seems that Lynn is there and Lila is asking Lynn about her choices, and it doesn't seem like Lila is like against it. What if Lynn is the person that like kind of like opens them all up to, you know, the church and baptism and stuff, and then that situation might just play itself out normally. But
or, you know, according to the divine plan of soft power.
So that this episode is awesome in that way. That I'm glad you brought that up, because I did not even think about her. But you know, Tyler gets to the building. We see he's at the elevator with all those dudes that's doing the sacrifice thing, and he's like,
yeah,
okay.
He sees all the old white men in suits.
He was like, all right.
And he's like, I'm just trying to go home, man.
But when he comes in the room and David's there, and the things David says to him, and you know, talking about the presence you felt in the room, and talking about like what he was doing in the room when he knew he was alone, those kind of things, they prove to Tyler that like, okay, this guy is real. And I love that David says he showed himself to prove to you that he's not absent. And he says that he has not abandoned you or your family. At that moment, Tyler breaks down. And going back to you about like dealing with grief and stuff, you know, how many times he just turns away, he cries, you know, saying I didn't want to, and David just hugs him. How many brothers have gotten something like this? How many of us?
So
whether from a father, from a coach, from an uncle, how many of us have gotten this?
So one of the YouTubers that I watch, and I will say every one of us has gotten something like that. However, um, black boys tend to only get it from one or two places. And those one or two places are very temporary. Okay? The places that we get them from are mama and our grandmama. And once those two are gone, that's it. Because we don't teach our people. One of the YouTubers that I watch a lot, I'm not gonna drop his name, talks about how when he was a counselor, he paid special attention to black boys, and sometimes they just needed a hug, and that's all he would do.
Oh, and you can drop him. It's cool. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, well that's FD Signifier. And
okay, I think you told me about him before. I think I've seen a couple of his shows.
And you know, when he's not talking about sports or old school hip hop, he's talking about like the real stuff, right? And understand, y'all, I was a very sensitive child. Okay, I'm still a very sensitive man. And when I say I'm in touch with my feelings, I'm exactly that. That whole you gotta be hard, you gotta be tough, you gotta be all that stuff. Some of the biggest arguments I got in, especially with my family, was the world is going to do its best to tear me down.
Yeah.
I should be able to come home and be safe from that. Not come home and practice for it at all times.
Yeah.
You know,
man. True.
And
something. And
my mom didn't get that until I was 35.
Do for your kids what was not done for you. And when I say that, I'm not talking about money. I'm not talking about going to Disneyland or something. Look, especially your little boys, look your boy in the face and say that you're proud to be his dad. Look your boy in the face and say you love him. Well, we're just coming from a man's perspective. Usually mama is saying those things. Usually mama is, giving those kind of affirmations. That's why when in Fences, with that part of the trailer where he was like, what I gotta love you for? That's why all black men were like, Just look your son in the face and tell him that you love him, that you're proud of him, that you're proud to be his dad, that you're happy that he's your son. Say these things. It matters. Say those things. Look him in the face and tell him those things. You know what I'm saying? And if you do something wrong, it's okay. You human. Sit down with your boy, look your boy in the face and say, I'm sorry. I was wrong. If you do those things I said, I guarantee you, for a large percentage of young men out here, you've already done something that your dad never did for you. Shoot, maybe your mama. Let's keep it real. I love mamas, but look, I grew up in the community. I know. Look, I've seen mamas from the whole spectrum. I'm not throwing them, but let's not act like trifling mamas ain't out there. So,
well, there's this thing going on the internet.
Do that, and your sons will remember that.
Yeah. Now, there's this thing going on the internet right now that I do think needs to be addressed a little bit while we're talking about this, because I don't know if it's true, but I know that it feels true. You feel me? And that is the statement that women and animals are the only things that are loved unconditionally.
Oh man, whatchamacallit? This I can't remember the comedian had a joke similar to that. It was like I think he said children, animals, and women are loved unconditionally, and men, you're loved depending on what you can do. And it was kind of like a joke. I kind of get it. I don't know if I'd say this is 100% true, but I don't know that it feels due to Western society, where a man is what he makes, a man is what he does, and what his does is supposed to be what he makes. It does feel like that.
Like I said, I don't know if it's true, but I know that it feels true.
But with that,
the easiest way past this,
divorce from that thinking. But yes, especially in Western American society, a man's value is how much he makes. Unfortunately,
and the solution to that, the way out of it, is just for the people in the man's life. And I'm not just talking about the women. I'm not just talking about the wives
Yeah.
and the mothers and the girlfriends and whatever. I'm talking about all the friends, all the family,
Friends, uncles, brothers, all that.
everybody.
Cousins.
We need to normalize. And we started to, at least in the black community, we need to start normalizing the sentiment of "I love you, man," just to our people. And I'm not talking about "I love you." Pause. I love you, no homo. Just I love you.
Just
I love you for you.
I love you.
We started normalizing it when we would say "I see you."
Yeah, because and see, that's another thing. When somebody was breaking down, there was this video, and this is not a gender war thing. Women were saying like men don't share their emotions or whatever, and he was just like, he started showing these videos of men together say like, and now unfortunately this happens usually in smaller situations, but like in the gym or in sports where they're like, you can do it, one more, patting them on the back, there you go, cheering when they squeeze out that last rep. They're like, this is our emotion to each other. But the reason this is our emotion is because America told us our emotion can only go one way. And then he was saying, when a man says, yo man, I see you, man, just trying to get like you, that's me saying, I love you, dog, man, I love you too. He was like, but y'all don't understand that, which unfortunately, due to sort of how we're like raised, and I mean, I've been raised in it too. Boy, get up, walk it off, don't cry, wipe them tears up, don't want to see that. I can repeat it because I've heard it so many times. You know what I'm saying? So I get it, but yeah, we got to get to be like, look, I love you, man. You my boy. We've been down forever. I got your back. You know what I'm saying? And just saying that, it doesn't have to be pause. It don't have to be no homo. It doesn't have to be no stupid stuff, no stupid qualifiers. Just, I love you because you my boy. That's it.
Exactly. And that was the thing. That was really the thing that Tyler needed. Like, hey, Tyler, God sees you. And he is not giving up on you or your family. You ain't carrying the burden alone. And there's somebody looking out for you. And his wife was trying, but didn't know how because of that Western training. You feel me? She didn't know the words. She didn't know to just say it flat out. And
she said he wouldn't do couples therapy because, of course, one, our aversion to the health field in general. And I mean, let's not front. I don't think that there's anything specific that makes Black women the highest rate of mortality during giving birth. It's so there's a reason that we look at the healthcare field side eye. There's going back, shoot, I mean, if you want to keep it real, modern medicine is built on the backs of slaves, but that's a whole nother thing. But
but in relation to
if you can find yourself in relation to the show, I can see why he's like, I don't trust therapists. I don't trust, I don't want to be, because I don't want nobody saying I'm crazy. Well, because that's the last thing I need is someone saying you crazy. And it's like, no, yes, there is that contingent of people, but sometimes you really need to get there just to be able to get there mentally with your wife. Y'all can get there emotionally and figure out what's going on, because you lost a child, man. You lost a child. That's a huge deal. And you don't have to do like David was saying, you're not by yourself.
Exactly.
You don't have to do this on your own. And then of course, you see him already breaking down when he was by himself. And when David said that, when he just fell, I was like, man.
Yeah. Like I said, I was in tears.
Powerful.
I was seriously in tears. I cried. What? Come at me in the comments. Cause yeah, I mean it's this show went for the gut. It went for the brain.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay. This episode shined. It really did. Like, even from this episode, from this episode with Sheryl and Leland seeing the pictures and realizing what happened, and Kurt Boggs and then Tyler, and even the conversation with his wife about what what went on, from Kristen's standpoint and everything. This episode comes together extremely well, and it shows why David. Unfortunately, this is another example of showing like the people that should be in charge that aren't. But after an episode like this, after seeing how David has been, always kind of like looking for the margins, looking out for the little guy, looking out for the smaller thing, not saying that the big things don't matter, but trying to like make sure that we don't sweep the little things under the rug, that we give them the same attention. I can't remember what singer said it, but she was like, I'm gonna sing and give the same show whether it's 100,000 people or 1,000 people. She's like, they're gonna get the same show. And like David tries to make sure that whether this is just one lady who's dealing with a demonic infestation, or whether we're worrying about evil coming to New York, we're giving it the same, like the same attention.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, David should definitely be in charge. But then I guess he can't be out on the street if he's in charge. But then if he's in charge, he can get other people to be like him to be out on the street. Man, I don't know. But I'll throw it to you.
Said it. There it is.
I'll throw it to you. Final thoughts, and where can they find you?
Final thoughts. This show is making me mad. Seriously, making me mad. Mad. Because, okay, I'm on one level, I'm glad they didn't bring us their best at the beginning and have nothing left. But at the same time, I'm seeing a whole lot of, this is our final season, so we gonna pull out all the stops because we don't care about getting canceled.
Yeah, you gonna miss us.
And I'm like, I really wish that there would be certain producers out there that would just let the filmmakers do that from jump. You feel me?
Because the only time you get first seasons that are this hot are, and you'll hear about it like in a season 3, director's cut, or like, some kind of edition where they're, either doing an interview or a documentary or some kind of like, I guess like a symposium somewhere where they're like, look, we figured we were going to get canceled in season 1, so we went for it. Like there's a couple of shows out there where you'll be like, man, season 1 was so fire. Like, and then, years later, they'll be like, yo, we figured, look, all we had was 10 episodes, so we just went for it. And you're like, oh, that's why. Because,
And honestly, I wish they would do, I wish that filmmakers were allowed to go at making TV like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as much as I've been quoting Eminem lately, I hate to do it again, but yeah, it's like you only get one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow, So if they treat every show like once in a lifetime, or this is all we got for this one, can you imagine the TV that we've been getting? Because this episode was so well written, so well directed, and so well acted. I mean, shouts out to the line producer.
Shouts out to Leland. Shouts out to Leland burning the paper like it's going to undo it.
But serious, because the supporting cast in the last 2 episodes, 3 actually, I'll even give it to the dancers, have just been stellar. Like, seriously speaking, Tyler this episode, the engineer that don't make no money, in the last episode, I'm like, I believe these character actors. You feel me?
Yeah.
So shouts out to the casting director and to the line producer of this show, and finally just taking a chance with these unknown character actors and picking the people that are best for the job. Because this show, this season, is really showing us how to do it. And y'all can find me at twitch.tv/BID_P, where we talk about things from the dark side of the room. This week, we are going to be covering the new Age of Sigmar game that just came out from Games Workshop. We're going to have our little talk about the Captain America trailer. Which, if you want a whole lot of context to that, because we're going to talk about it like Wednesday, you want some context to that, you're going to have to check out the Captain America Brave New World trailer discussion right here on NERDSoul first.
Oh yeah. Don't sleep. We talk about as much as I can.
Yeah, you only get an hour. I'll be talking about it for 2 hours on this one. So come on down to the Twitch channel and let the community know that we are here and doing the whole things. Show them a video or two. Be like, man, these two start talking about a show, then they start talking about some real stuff, but then they come back to the show, but they don't get too deep. Look at this. Look at this video. Look at this one too.
We do what we can.
Yeah. And I dare y'all to come at me in the comments telling me that I'm wrong. I dare you. I double dare you. And of course you can also find me right here on NERDSoul, bringing that Street Geek and Nerd Soul as we talk about science fiction and relative fantasy shows.
Yeah, because what is it? I think Rings of Power is coming back this fall.
Yep.
So I'm at least I remember enjoying it. I know Rings of Power it's controversial. I know it's controversial. So but I thought it was cool. But
we'll talk about that.
I had to read all the books and everything. I just kind of like came in from there, and the movies. But all right, final thoughts on my end. A plus. Y'all guys are heading towards S tier. If this and the last 4 episodes are just like these previous 2-3 episodes have been, then I'm going to be sad to see y'all go, but I'm going to be hyped for how you end it. Like, seriously. I'm excited. So, of course, NERDSoul, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, podcast, all that jazz. And until the next time that you have to burn documents, certificates, baby clothes and stuff, and then say to yourself that this did not happen, it's just us to you saying, peace.
Later.